Hey agents, the market is changing. Well, guess what? I've got the secret formula for what you need to do to thrive and drive your business to new heights in this changing market. What is going on, everyone? I am Elliot, one of the co-founders of Zoodealio. As you guys may know, we really want to focus on bringing cash offer strategies to the marketplace. I get this question sometimes, and again, most of the people that are on here are going to be active members and participants of Zoodealio. However, I still find myself a lot of times talking with brokers, team leaders, people over very influential in the real estate space. And sometimes I think that they miss the entire importance of bringing or having this unique value proposition to the marketplace. And it really is just that. It's having a unique value proposition so that you can ultimately build upon that allows you to build a relationship with them. I want to remind everybody that at the core of this, right, real estate is a relationship-based business. When you can have a unique proposition, yes, there's going to be a small amount of people that want to take advantage of that particular product, right? But the overall, what we're looking to do here is use something that about 99% of the population is going to be interested in seeing what that option is and how it applies to them. And like I said, those use cases of where it's for 5% or so of the people that are going to take advantage of the opportunity is far different than the almost 100% that are going to be interested in learning about it. And so when you can use this as a segue from the technology, from the opportunity to ultimately give them what they want instantly, where that's the different home valuation or the cash offer options that apply to their property. This is going to give you the ability to ultimately start engaging them in a relationship, right? For example, if I have a cash offer, it works for them. Fantastic, very straightforward. If it doesn't work for them, you're able to illustrate, hey, if we go into the market and it's going to take me 3 Saturdays and you're not going to have a portion of your equity held back, this is maybe the upfront proceeds that they need to be able to move on. So these are the types of things, again, where you're using this product to build that relationship, right? Because at the end of the day, it does still come down to getting people to know you, like you, and trust you. So we're going to be diving in today about building a bigger audience. Those of you may know that we are about to have a major update that will be coming out here in just a few short weeks. And really, it's going to be an opportunity I see as a lifetime, not only for us here at Zoodealio, but for all of you guys as agents as well. We have built an extremely sophisticated new way to really ultimately monitor your database to where you're going to be able to bring them an extreme value proposition that's going to have a lot of data, a lot of engaging things that, again, just about every homeowner, whether they just bought their house or they're ready to sell their house tomorrow, is going to want to be connecting with on a monthly basis. And of course, the whole point of that is how do we make our technology work for us? Well, when I can deploy my value proposition, hey, have you thought about renting your house? Have you thought about Airbnb your house, right? Just giving you a couple of things, or calculate your equity to figure out your net worth, right? For maybe they got an investment or a life insurance strategy that they're working with, right? And they want to use this as a baseline to be able to evaluate part of their asset, right? So what I'm getting at by saying this is it's going to bring them a lot of unique data that they're going to be engaging with on a consistent basis. Well, when we do that, of course, we're going to be able to report some of those actions back to you. And those are, of course, are going to be indicators of who is likely to do something, buy a house. They may look to sell their house, or they may be looking to sell their house so they can buy their upgraded house or downgrade, right? So those are just, again, a few example scenarios of why it's so important for us to be able to grow our audience and scale out our message. Because then from there, we're able to make our technology ultimately tell us who should we be focusing on. I would imagine, again, with our audience size here today, I would imagine I have some people like myself that are old school in the game where most likely indicators of people wanting to sell were obviously canceled, expireds, potentially FSBOs. Those were people already usually in the action of selling their house. So those were obviously likely home sellers. Then from there, you would be able to do some circle prospecting. You'd be able to get certain lists. And then as technology is advanced, there's, likely seller formula companies that have come out. But again, a lot of those lists and those types of things can be extremely expensive and the conversion rates are very, very low. Where I believe that a lot of these things have have progressed. And what we have been able to bring out here is where a lot of the data that we've ran on this is per every 1,000 people that you're going to be putting inside of your database, you're going to have anywhere from 6 to about 12 high engagement type leads every single month, right? And that again is going to be based on people that are looking to potentially sell their house, upgrade, downgrade, etc. When you can double down and focus on growing that audience and realize, hey, if I'm going to get, let's just say 10 leads a month, well, of those 10 leads a month, right, that I'm going to get a hold of 60% of them, let's just say, and I'm giving us simple formulas here, that's 60%, and then that 60% compounded over the course of a year, let's just say that's 72 leads. Well, of those 72 leads that I'm going to be able to get a hold of, right, let's just say I have a conversion rate and appointment rate, setting rate, those people of 50%, and then I have a conversion rate, so that gives us, roughly 35 at that point, 36, and then if we have a conversion rate of 50% of the appointments that I'm going on, well, that still translates to about 16 deals for us every single year. And that's, again, just a simple math off the top of my head here, mental math of what 1,000 people could look like when you guys get diligent about this, right? So imagine being able to add on an extra 16 deals, then your next 16 deals, then the next 16 deals. And that really comes down to being able to really look at how many people are inside of my database that I have valid contact information and they're actually engaging and listening to the message, right? Because we can always, a lot of people always talk about, hey, your business is going to grow to the extent that your audience does, or that I'm a huge, fan of that. And today's currency is the size of your audience, right? Well, the other really important factor we have to remember on that is ultimately, are they listening? Are they engaging, right? So that's where I think that we also need to look at strategies of how do I get them to engage? But you can have a list of 1,000 people, and if you've never met one of them versus a list of people of 1,000 people that you know, well, we all know the ones that you have met, engaged, and talked to are going to have a ton more of engagement, a ton more performance. Generalize, of the American, turnover rate, which is, per a recent calculation, is roughly about 4.5%, right? Which is lower than what the national average is. But obviously with our low inventory, very expensive money, very expensive homes, the turnover rate has dropped, and it's got a lot of pressure on it right now. So let's just say that's that 4% of people that are going to transact, right? Typically you have that, and then 50% of those people are also going to buy a house. Well, these, again, I know I'm talking about a lot of math here and I'm looking at this logically, but that's the whole point of the path is math type mindset that I want to introduce everybody to, or reintroduce a lot of you to, because it's a foundation of how we can build a predictable business. And so what I want to do is give you guys the ability to simplify your message, simplify your business approach in today's very noisy market. There's so much of try this, do that. Here's some new sophisticated strategy. You have to go learn to run ads. You have to go learn to be the next biggest, best thing, and try this, right? Not that there's anything wrong with trying a lot of those things. I think that personally, all of those things on some level work, right? The things that you work with are usually the things that work because you're working. And what I want to do is take you guys through just a simple formula and strategy today that all of us have as agents. And what that is going to be the ability to grow that database, right? I think that's why so many of the coaches, the Tom Ferrys, the Mike Ferry, even his dad, Brian Buffini has kind of always been there about being able to get your message to that dedicated audience. That is ultimately, again, it's just a math equation of what that looks like. And again, you can still have these new strategies. You can have all of these other things, because a lot of times what that's going to do is it's going to give you the person's contact information. And yes, you're going to get a small percentage of those people that are going to want to do transactions right away, right? So case in point, let's say you're working realtor.com leads, or you have a sync account, Boomtown account, and you have an ad spend. It's on that. Well, right, data shows that if you are highly successful, you're going to have at pretty much best about a 2% conversion rate on those leads that come in, right? And that's it's sometime usually in the next 18 months. Well, what I want to articulate for you guys is that is a whole lot of opportunity. That's a whole lot of meat on the bone that's being left untouched. And if you don't learn how to put a process process, a communication medium in place, you're going to ultimately miss out on those people. How often are you frequently communicating with your existing database? Kind of a two-part question. How often? And the second part, are you guys just running general campaigns? And I mean like a lot of people, when they run their campaigns, it's usually based on home buying, meaning, hey, I saw that you were checking out 1234 Main Street and I was curious if you'd like to go see it this weekend. Or, hey, it's a hot property and usually when the indicators on this property kick off, sells within 2 weeks. You don't want to miss out on this opportunity, right? So there's a lot of campaigns out there that are going to take those properties, monitor them, and they'll automatically trigger and send those types of things on that. So I was curious, or what kind of communication are you giving them? And then ultimately, how often are you communicating with your existing database? So we are going to look at how to grow your audience and ultimately close more. Pull the curtain back on that and just be very upfront about it. At the end of the day, this is about closing more deals. This is about growing your GCI, that gross commission income. I'm not going to get into the netting more and all those things on today's session particularly, but it's ultimately about closing more deals. So, for a lot of us, we're unclear on why is that so, important. Well, as I had said before, your business is always going to grow to the extent that your audience does, right? Like if, for example, if you have 100 people that you're able to communicate with on a systematic basis, you may have a very, very high conversion ratio. But if somebody has 1,000 people and they're running, maybe not as high conversion ratios, they're usually going to do more deals, right? Just like the person that's got 10,000, if you can figure out how to maintain that. And then from there, it's getting them, like I said, they have to open the communication. They have to answer the phone. They need to respond to your text messages. They need to engage with the marketing. It's all about being able to make sure that the message that you are bringing to them is resonating with them, right? So that's where sometimes if I can capture some of the opens, if I can capture an occasional response on the text, that maybe that's going to trigger me to call them. Let's say I'm using the Zoodealio launch campaign. I see that they've opened up the last 3 emails that we've sent them. They've clicked, engaged with all of it, right? Those are all triggers that are going to come back to me and let me know that they opened their report and they were reviewing their blast home report. Well, I'm potentially going to call that homeowner, right? And I'm going to have a very, very simple lead generation style type conversation where I'm just going to be like, hey, Jerry, it's Elliot over at ABC Realty. Hey, I wanted to actually give you a quick call because I see that you've been checking out our home report that we've been sending you the last couple of months. There's a cash offer option on there you may be familiar with called the Cash Plus. And I was curious, did you want to know how that works? Or were you actually thinking about getting a cash offer at some point in time this year on your house, right? So that's my kind of simple opening where I can bring that message. I can really start to engage them. And here's the beauty of that, guys. Remember, when you're doing this type of thing, it's not like another lead platform where the lead has been shared with multiple agents and they're getting beat up, heavily pursued by multiple real estate agents. This is an opportunity for you to build that relationship like I was talking about before, where you could say, yeah, it's a cash offer that allows you to potentially improve your equity because this buyer actually comes in, rehabs the house, resells it, and then gives you all of the upside proceeds. It's a really unique opportunity. Let's say that they are in the market. Obviously, that's pretty straightforward. If they're not, I saw that and I was curious about the home value on that. And yeah, I thought my value, I think my value is a little bit higher, right? So these are all things that you're going to potentially get in the feedback. Or, hey, man, my value seems really high on this, right? Those are all things. Yeah, why don't I do this? This is, of course, again, a computer-generated value. And, although they're decently accurate, they're not always accurate. So why don't I do this? I'll cross-reference that for you and let you know how accurate it is, like, with our micro market that's around you. And I can report back to you and give you just a clear indicator of where you're at. Let's say that they say, yeah, you know what? We're not really thinking about, we've kind of just been starting to get the itch to potentially sell. And I just kind of wanted to see what some of the options are. We're not looking to do anything right now. That's where you're able to say, hey, cool, no problem. When are you guys thinking about this move? Oh, we're not really sure. If it was, probably not any time in the next, year or so, we, somewhere in there. I totally get that. hey, well, why don't I do this? Because there's, no cost, no obligation. I want you to always know what your options are. I'm going to keep you on this home report and make sure that you get this every single month so that you can always watch your home value, watch the different cash offer options that are available to you. And then in the event that you think that you guys want to potentially rehab that house and, potentially improve the equity and sell for that top dollar, I can always find out what that would look like for you at no cost or no obligation, right? So it's being able to weave in this unique value proposition, and I'm going to ultimately build trust, build a relationship by doing that, right? So as you guys were beginning portion of the call, when I'm talking about using the unique value proposition to build a relationship, here is an example of how we pull all of that together. Then from there, this is really, to me, like I said before, the mathematical equation of the importance. And so this, for the record, what you're looking at here is this is per the studies that have been done by the National Association of Realtors. And this is a graph that I stole from one of their sites a while back. This is their secret formula that per every 35 contacts that you have, as long as you have a good, valuable communication, right? That's the key thing. I think so many agents, right? If we look at the body of agents, they'll have people's contact information, and if they're ready to transact within now or the next 60 days, agents are usually all over it, or even 90 days. But so many people miss that ability to long-term communicate, right? And I think it's because a lot of us get, well, what should I say to them on a monthly basis? And then maybe you've had a home snap report. Maybe you send them trends that are going on inside of their neighborhood, but not until now have you had a tool like we're bringing to the marketplace to where it's going to be just a high engagement opportunity for people to calculate their home equity, to look at strategies of their investment properties. Like I said, really just be curious about what's going on in their neighborhood to see who's renting, who's selling, what are the trends that are going to go on in the different markets. Hey, if I am thinking about moving to San Diego or to Nashville, Tennessee, what's going on in that particular market that I'm going to be able to have access to all of these different tools and assets? And, if I make this move, does it make more sense to keep this house and rent it out, or should I sell it? What would that cash position look like for me to do that? So again, these are all really cool things that you guys are going to get an entirely new way to advise and contact and build relationships with your existing database. I wanted to give everybody this mathematical equation as every 35 people that you have over an annual basis, right, bringing value to them should equal one appointment for you. And then out of every 4 appointments that you go on, of course, this is buy or sell. They're saying that this is going to theorize a closed transaction for you. Now, on this, for the record, I think the reason, because again, when you're dealing with sellers, usually the conversion rate is going to be a little bit higher. And, that obviously is going to depend on your ability to illustrate value, your conversion methods, right? And just overall your sales experience. But some of this, of course, is going to include opening up houses, doing buyer consultations at the particular property, what actually converts to a transaction. But here again, every 35 contacts, right? So if we really look at this in a simplistic form, you almost have to go 35 times 4. Right, that equals a closed transaction for you. So if you can do the math on that, right, and I would challenge everybody to look at this. How many people do you have in your database? Divide that by 35. Does that math for you to be doing, so what is that, 140? Yeah, 140. Every 140 people that you have in your database, is that equaling one closed transaction for you? Divide that math. You guys can get the importance, understand the importance of why it is, so important to have that foundation of a database, right? So every 140 people divided by the amount of people in your database, does that represent the number of transactions for you that you should be getting? If not, well, I'm going to highly encourage you to be looking at really increasing your value proposition and what you're bringing to your audience, which is where, again, Blast is going to solve that for you in an exponential fashion. I think with what we're bringing, we're going to actually crush all of these numbers. Then from there, it's all about, okay, how do I grow this audience? How do I get, people that are interested? Well, of course, by running ads, we can buy lists, those types of things. But I'm going to suggest that, definitely paid for traffic, right? Where we're getting accurate data, right? We're not getting jack at leavemealone.com, right? Those kinds of leads, which sometimes that does come with the territory. But when you're bringing something of value, let's say like a home report that's specifically about their property, it's not very likely that they're going to put in inaccurate information in that situation because they're not going to get the home report on a monthly basis, right? They're not going to be able to say, hey, X factor has changed on your home report. Click here to see the update. Nor are they likely to put in their, friend's house because they don't necessarily want to see all the data on their friend's house, or they don't need to see it. They want to see it on their property, and they want to see it in a systematic fashion so that they can really see what's going on, right? So that's how we're going to get a lot of that quality data. And we're going to be able to do these types of things by giving them, by posting regularly, like I said, those of us that have it in the budget to be able to take these assets, running geofences, right? Where I'm a huge fan of that, just because when we're rolling out whole new landing pages, the calls to action around it are quite phenomenal to where you're going to be able to capture those leads and grow that database. Now, the part I want everybody to know on this is when you do this enough, are you going to get instant transactions? Absolutely. But I want everybody to realize that this is absolutely a build a business journey play, meaning you're going to have the bucket of people that want to do deals now. You're going to have the bucket of people that want to do deals in the next 6 months, and you're going to have the bucket of people that are going to be 6 months to someday. And that's where I want us to be realizing the importance of every single person. Yes, it's great when somebody wants to do something right now. Yes, it's great when they want to do something in the next 6 months, but the overwhelming majority are going to be 6 months and beyond that they want to do something. And you have to be willing to play that game, because that's how we're going to build a very, very consistent business. And then here's the reality of it, guys. After you get your business and you get focused on this for 6 months, well, then everything just starts creating a cycle, right? And you're able to have a very predictable and duplicatable business. You have this funnel that's constantly building your database and constantly growing your value proposition. Therefore, by growing this, you're always growing more deals that you're doing, you're expanding and ultimately impacting your real estate community and bringing a whole change of how real estate transactions are being done to the marketplace. And it's all done. You are the catalyst for it, right? You're the one that's bringing it to the marketplace. So again, just an extreme opportunity for you guys to be able to look at that big picture. So let's look at some other ways of areas that I think that a lot of us miss. Just again, and this is my collective of working with, now thousands of real estate agents all over the country. So many of us have, I think one of the biggest ones is IDX and pass leads. Agents, again, with all the love in the world, a lot of us are unorganized. We get fragmented because we're busy. We have too many, unopened emails. We have too many, leads that come in, too many engagements, and it just becomes white noise. Where I want to challenge us to go back and look at the different leads that we've got, whether we were a part of a team, whether we've paid for leads, whether we have lists, right, for sale by owners. Maybe some of this data is not the best anymore, and we need to be able to scrub it, look at it. And again, this is where when we get very on purpose about building and ultimately cleaning house on this, it's going to, like I said before, remember, every 35 people is going to equal 4 appointments. Every 4 appointments is going to equal 1 closing. And so that, again, is just a tremendous opportunity for us. And when we keep that in mind, all of these tasks that we need to do is going to look a heck of a lot easier for us to do that. So again, I don't need to go through all these. You guys got them up on the screen, but these are some strategies that I would highly recommend that you guys take a look at to ultimately grow your list. I want to talk about a couple of ways to just kind of fast track growing your list. I'm definitely personally a big believer of a lot of these. So one I'm going to mention here is this Rebo Gateway. I know a lot of agents probably aren't as familiar with that. It's one I used to use personally years ago. And being candid, I think at the time, even though I used it, I've gone in such a different direction with tech and communication and power, in the whole Zoodealio journey, that I would say that even though I got it, I didn't fully get it. These are companies that are literally capturing behaviors through just pure facts, right? You have ultimately trigger leads. And so what these trigger leads are is going to be like the 3 Ds, right? Or we'll just use those core 3 Ds: death, divorce, and debt, right? Or diapers. ultimately, so people that are going to potentially have a baby, they're maybe going to move up their house, right? Death is ultimately going, obviously probate, people that are going to sell the house. Not all of them are going to sell their house, but a good majority of them are. Now, the other reason why I want to bring this up to you guys is it's a massive, amazing opportunity, right? Because a lot of times you're dealing with probate, it's not always, the funnest situation, and maybe they've owned the house for a certain amount of time. Maybe there's even deferred maintenance, right? Well, Zoodealio and the cash buyer can come in and solve that problem for you. Where I want you guys to look at this strategy of where you're potentially going to create, hey, this asset that was left behind and now is going to be distributed amongst the heirs. Well, what if you could increase that value by 5%, 10%? Well, in today's market, 5-10% is a small fortune in many cases. And so when you're able to ultimately give them more cash, you're going to create massive raving fans. And if anything, you're certainly going to find yourself in the kitchen being able to talk about the deal with, right? And so that's where, again, I want you to just be thinking about these types of trigger leads, right? And then of course, a divorce scenario is another one where this solves a massive problem, because speed and certainty of a plan is usually very, very paramount in these circumstances. And where one party can usually be cashed out, right? We've done this several times where it's a divorce situation. The person that one of the parties will be cashed out, and then the other spouse is tied to the upside, right? That's usually, or sometimes they'll split it, right? And if they can increase the equity, they always love it. And a lot of times it brings a more amicable situation to something that's usually a little bit some stress. Now, debt. Let's talk about that one real quick, because again, I think that's a huge one that gets missed out on a ton. Number one, it's like, let's give them a planned exit versus a forced exit. Not that there's a ton of foreclosure activity right now. There is a ton of things on the horizon where it looks like that could heavily increase, where you have the list pendants, notice of defaults, right? Depending on where you're at in the country, you're able to approach these particular folks and again, maximize their equity and give them that planned, hey, we're going to leave. And case in point, let's just say that it's a late checkout situation, right? There's a foreclosure that's filed on the property or list pendants. We are able to come in, cash them out, stop all of that. Remember, interest is paid in arrears, right? So even though they're not making their mortgage payment, if they're living in the property, technically they're still paying for it, and they're paying for it through their equity, because when they get foreclosed on and the house gets resold, of course, all those penalties, interest on the penalties, and of course the unpaid interest, right, that just continues to compound and compound, is going to be paid and taken from their equity when the bank takes over or sells the property. We can come in and put a stop to that, and then ultimately even give them a late checkout. Let's just say they need an extra 35 to 40 days. Hey, we're going to give them their cash right now so they can go find the new place. They can go rent their next house for the next 6 months, right? While they're figuring out what's going on, and pay cash, right? I'm just using this as an example to where they can rent their next property, right? Maybe their credit is damaged, and so now they need to make basically pay 6 months in advance to any landlord that's going to be, happy to work with them now. That solves that type of problem, and where you guys again are able to bring a unique value proposition to the marketplace. I personally worked with a boatload of people that short sold their house and was in a hardship. Well, all of those people end up recovering, right? It's not the end of forever. I'm not going to throw that information away and not want to work with them in the future, right? So you come in, you solve the problem, and most of the time they can usually, if their house avoids going to foreclosure, in certain scenarios, they can put themselves back in a buying position in as soon as a year, right? So that's where, again, you want to be able to give them those strategies, because then guess what? Now they rent this house for a year, and now all of a sudden it turns into another transaction for you. You sold their house, they love you for it because you gave them a planned exit, you gave them cash, you saved them money, right? And then now you're giving them the strategies of how they can get back in and take advantage of what's going on. And once, whatever issue is going on that ends up getting resolved in a year's time, 18 months time, it now turns into another transaction for you. So those are just a couple of strategies that I wanted to give to you guys that's just extremely powerful to be able to think about your business. And then of course, this last one I do want to touch on, the likely companies. I believe this is going to continue, just again, being candid from an AI standpoint, right? So part of one of the things that we are unveiling in our new home report is AI is, all of it is sophisticated, but there's going to be an AI component that is not only going to be able to assist them and tell them about the different options, tell them about the data inside their report, talk to them about the trends that are going on, and ask questions. Ultimately, as anything that they would want to ask you, they'll be able to ask the AI, and the AI will be able to answer it intelligently. Then additionally, right, there's all about going to be coming down to the forecasting, right, and capturing that behavior. We all know how important that piece is. And so being able to capture the likeliness of, hey, the behaviors are this, they're doing this, they're engaging this, they're clicking on that, they're looking at this, right? And as all of those things continue to roll out and grow, I think that this is going to be a massive play in the next probably 6 to 12 months in the real estate space as a whole, is being able to predict what people are doing and who we should be able to focus on, right? At the end of the day, I'm personally one of the most on fire about this, because our most important resource is our time. And if I can maximize my time by being most effective and knowing who, what, when, and how to work with them, that is invaluable information and something I definitely want to bring to my contacts and ultimately my real estate business. Now that I kind of laid the groundwork, let's pull it all together from a communication standpoint and see how that is going to work for you and your business, right? So we've talked about it, like I said, a lot of macro. Let's pull it to the micro. And what does this look like for even just one contact? Okay. So I'm a huge fan of email marketing. I would say email marketing has re-exploded because of all of the things that I was talking about before. When you have a great subject line, when you have something that they're interested in, and you can have a scaled out message, you're seeing open rates north of 25%, right? And again, that may not sound like overwhelming. Well, do the math on 1,000, right? All of a sudden, now with one send, you have that many people that are digesting your information on some level. Even if it's they read the headline, they breezed through the email in 5 seconds and clicked next, right? You're still getting your message in front of them. You're still ultimately stopping the scroll, right? A version of stopping that scroll. Or, right, this is above where we're talking about the social media assets, but through email marketing, we are creating awareness around our value proposition that we're bringing to the marketplace. Then we're able to capture those behaviors, right? Which is, here's my big bucket. Well, by me capturing who's engaging, the triggers, etc. Well, now I need to take my time and move these people through the funnel faster. Okay, so now I'm capturing all of those behaviors. Let's just say it's 100 people. Well, that's who I need to double down and focus on talking to this upcoming week, right? So 20 people per day I'm going to be focusing on and making my phone calls and touching them, texting them, providing additional information, maybe a CMA on their house, maybe coming by and snapping pictures to confirm condition to get the cash offer, right? So these are all of those types of things that you're going to want to do. Now, the other beauty of all of this, right, is now that we created and sold the dream, we need to be able to back it up. That's where the Zoodealio platform, of course, comes into play additionally of submitting their property, instantly creating the different cash offer and options, then finalizing that review, and then finalizing those options if need be, and then ultimately always monitoring their property value and kind of just going through and keeping them in the know. Now from there, like I said before, we want to maintain that influence. And how are we going to maintain that influence? Well, as we have it here, again, I'm going to touch on Blast here in just a second more, but it's really imperative that we have to, now that we've gone through the work of making contact, we've gone through the work of building value, we've gone through the work of building that relationship. Don't let it slip through the cracks by just disappearing till 18 months. Now, let me give you guys a pro tip. I personally used to have my team, whatever time frame that they gave us, we would cut it in half by 50% for buyers, and we would cut it by 70% for sellers, right? So if they told me, hey, 10 days from now, I'm going to let my house chill, I'm going to be gone, whatever else, well, I'm going to start sending them a message or something in value in 3 days so that I can ultimately start getting that relationship, right? So whether it's 10 months, 18 months, that's still going to apply. I want you guys to remember the leads are always going to cast out something way more in the future than they're ready for. And it's your job to inspire them to transact sooner than later. And the number one way that you can do that is by giving them what it is, connecting to why they want to do it, how you're going to get them there faster. That's the beauty of what we get to be as real estate professionals. Last thing I want to give to us here on this is again, Zoodealio's Blast. And again, this is all the version that exists now, the legacy one. Like I said, we have an amazing new user interface, or a new interface that's going to be coming out that is extremely massive eye candy. It's really compelling data. It's just, again, we have feverishly been working on this for quite some time, and we are really excited that it'll be rolling out here a few weeks to a month-ish, maybe a little bit more or so. And ultimately, what this is going to do is do all of this for you. Right? That's the whole point of what we're doing here. It is simplifying your business, and I want to offer you guys to be able to do this now, because you can actually do this as it speaks right now. So even though that whole interface I'm talking about, one day you will log in and it'll just be different. But this value proposition still exists right now. The other thing that you're going to be able to do is just upload your people and start giving them their home report and compelling data on their property. As soon as they click on it and open it, you are going to be able to see them engaging in it. Also is going to allow us to start scrubbing our database. One of the cool things that we do when you upload your list is it actually pings and verifies their email address. So by taking that list that you have, it's going to verify that it's at least a good email address. Now, in the event that it's somebody that you did a transaction with and you know that this is their email address, you're able to call them up. Say, hey, Jerry, it's been a minute. Hey, it's Elliot. I actually wanted to invite you to a new home report that we're going to be offering to our clients. No cost, nothing like that. It's just a really cool home value tool, trends that are going on in your area, and then just some other things that we find most homeowners have a lot of interest in. And I wanted to invite you to it, and I actually went to send it to you, and your email bounced back for me. So I wanted to know what your new updated email address is. Boom. So then now we're able to do that. I got it myself a touch, check in on the family, right? All of those types of things. Hey, man, it's been 18 months since you guys bought that house. It's pretty wild to think that much time has already gone by. What's going on in the house? Have you guys made any improvements, right? Next thing you know, the wife's pregnant and they're thinking about getting a bigger house, right? Like that's just the type of things that happen when we make contact and do what we need to be doing. This is available to you now. You can take your lists and upload them on that. Now, the other thing too that I do want to encourage everybody to do that, the way the pricing works on Blast is it's $50 for your first 500, then it's $25 per every 500 of monitoring after that. I would heavily encourage you to do it now rather than later, because I'm not sure of the new pricing when it comes out. But of course, with new data and all of the more expense that's there's a solid chance that we may increase the pricing. So in the event that you want to take advantage of it, we will not increase the pricing, for anybody that has it existing now. So do yourself a favor and take advantage of that now so that you can start monitoring and really ultimately creating more leads for your business today. As we all know, this is the offer dashboard, and what I want to show with you guys today is the process in which that we've gone through to finalize an offer. So the offers that are given to you are instant and preliminary. So in order to make the offers, of course, actionable and finalize those particular numbers, that's usually about a 72-hour review right now. And what that does is they go in, they evaluate the property, they evaluate condition. You need to upload photos, right? It's a deep dive, and the property is fully underwritten. That way, if we need to close in as fast as 21 days after that, we can be able to do that for you. If we want to close further out, like 60 days, of course, we can meet you and your client where you're at to accommodate. The other thing I want to discuss here is the cash plus offer and the fix it and list it. This is a change that we have made, and I'm helping kind of communicate this and get it out there. The fix it and list it is the cash plus with repairs. So if I come down here, click on view offer details, you're going to see that you're getting a first payout here in this scenario, right? And then the additional payout. Now, the part that, of course, with the photos that we have before, which is the before and afters, which kind of gives you the sizzle that you need for your clients so you can see, hey, here was the condition of the house before, here's what it is now, and it meant X dollars extra to this client. Well, that's exactly where this calculator comes into play for you as well. So you can see by, let's just say that you're able to kind of look at the house and you know that it needs a master bathroom and a kitchen remodel, and it's an area where the comparable swing is bigger, and they're going to definitely be a return on the investment by improving the property. Let's just say that you theorize or estimate in the initial conversation that, hey, it's going to probably be about $40,000 to pull these up to standards and to make the kitchen look modern, to make the bathroom get the finishes that it needs, to open it up, and just kind of give it that really selling approach. Well, not only are we going to increase value, we're usually going to increase sellability and the certainty of us actually getting those numbers, right? So it hits on multiple fronts that I want to share with everybody on. So you actually have this calculator, right, that you can kind of come in here and see and say, hey, Mrs. Home Seller, we can get you $350,000 cash today for your house that's going to allow you to move on, get you the cash that you need for the down payment on your new house. But what I want to do is, even though the projected home value after we rehab the house is going to be $509 or $509,000, we're going to be able to get you this much upfront. We're going to come in and we are going to hold back that $40,000 and put it right into your property so that when we resell it, we're going to be able to sell it and get those additional proceeds. Well, that's going to give you an additional second payout of an approximately $116,000 versus a house in a current condition where it's at right now. We're probably looking more like 400 to 425 because a buyer is going to buy based on what they see in the condition. Now, the other thing I want to share with you on that too, that I typically see is houses, even though we are in a lower inventory market, because the buyer's interest rate is so high, buyers are very picky. They don't want to buy a house and buy a project in most cases. So if we can make this house look refreshed, new, and give them what they want so it meets the market demand, we're going to sell faster and we're going to sell for more money. So this is a strategy that I wanted to bring to you so you can ultimately see you're going to be able to, by us putting in $20,000 of repairs in the house, it's going to bring you an additional profit of $40,000. Now, I don't know about you, but I certainly like doubling my money. So how do you feel about this strategy? Is this something that you'd like to learn more about? Right. So this is, again, an off-the-cuff script, but I wanted to just give you guys an idea of what this is, how this works, and how you can use the offer dashboard to ultimately convert your clients, build a relationship, right? All those things, like I said, build value, build a relationship, show your clients that you're working for them. This is the other part here I would use, right? So in the event I just met somebody, I would say, hey, look, here's a strategy. This company I work with, they are a nationwide company. They work in 47 states, but here's a couple of different strategy, different properties that they have done in, different places around the country. Check this one out where this kitchen, definitely needed a little bit of TLC and just, had a life, right? Where they came in, this is where they just, really freshened up the house, painted the cabinets, painted it. And here's the beauty of this one that I want you to see. This house had, similar to yours, had an as-is value of around $200,000, right? And they actually only put about less than $10,000 into it. And by them putting that $10,000 into it, it actually gave them over $50,000 of additional profit. Pretty cool stuff, right? So again, these are all things that you want to build that key differentiator. Now, last pro tip that I'll give to you guys here, I'm going to use those types of conversations, especially with like a trigger lead, or if I'm in the more relationship building sequence of that lead conversion, right? Like if it's somebody that I've done a transaction with, somebody that I already have an existing relationship with, I'm not going to use, I'm going to be a little bit more direct. Hey man, check this out. This is a really cool opportunity for you. And the thing I love about this for you guys is instead of you having to borrow money against your 401k, go get a line of credit. A, we're going to sell way faster. B, way more likely. Even though we're going to sell for more, we're going to be way more likely to get our price, right? We're not going to have to chase the market because we're going to price. And even if we price it, let's just say at a good price, when we're pricing the house and it's a project house, people are still uncertain. They think things cost more than they do. They don't want to deal with the stress. They don't want to deal with the drama. They just want to be move-in ready. So what I want to do is show you how we're able to solve this for you. We're going to use your equity so no money comes out of your pocket directly. By working this strategy, we are going to make you more money. How's that sound? Right? I'm going to just be a little bit more direct if I have an existing relationship with them. So again, a couple of pro tips on how I would handle that and what I would do to ultimately convert at a higher level. So as always, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Found value, share this with one of your agent friends. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, or even comment on anything that you found in value today, or even anything that you disagreed with me. I'd love to hear from you guys. Like I said, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Ring that notification bell so you are always notified when we drop a new video. Thanks so much.